A nation mourns. North Korean leader Kim Jong-il is dead at the age of 69. It is 8 p.m. in Pyongyang at 7 p.m. in Beijing. I'm Monita Rajpal. You're watching CNN, the world's news leader. This is World One, live from London. Also ahead, is this North Korea's next leader? All eyes are on Kim Jong-un as the world waits to find out who will take over the nuclear-armed nation. But first, shock and grief in North Korea following the unexpected news that its longtime leader, Kim Jong-il, is dead. North Korea's official news agency later reported he died of a heart attack on a train trip. Now, the reclusive leader had been in power since 1994, but in recent years, his health had been called into question. In 2008, he reportedly suffered a stroke. In 2009, he was thought to be ill with cancer and spent a long while out of the public eye. Attention is now turning to this man on the right, his third son, Kim Jong-un, who's being described by the state news agency as, quote, the great successor. Well, Kim Jong-il's death has prompted security concerns over what may happen next in North Korea. One country watching events closely is neighboring South Korea. The two nations are technically still at war, and with uncertainty over the future of their relations, South Korea is putting its forces on high alert. Stan Grant is in the city. He joins us now live with more on that. Stan.
Yeah, Monita, a reaction here from China. China, North Korea's closest ally, saying that they extend their condolences to North Korea and their grief over the death of Kim Jong-il, describing him as a great leader of socialism, also calling on the North Korean people to see this as an opportunity to unite.
Thank you very much, Stan Grant there in Beijing. Well, Japan called an emergency national security meeting on news of Kim Jong-il's death. A statement has since been issued offering condolences. Chief government spokesman went on to say, "We hope this sudden event does not have an adverse effect on the peace and stability on the Korean peninsula." Well, in Washington, a U.S. official says the death of Kim Jong-il brings extraordinary change and uncertainty to North Korea. Earlier, the White House press secretary issued a statement saying, quote, "We are closely monitoring reports that Kim Jong-il is dead. We are in close touch with our allies in South Korea and Japan. We remain committed to stability on the Korean peninsula and to the freedom and security of our allies." We want to go straight to Washington now and join CNN's White House correspondent Dan Lothian. Dan, at what point do we think that, is there a sense that Washington is looking to still maintain, still look at the other countries within the region, such as South Korea, Japan, and China, to take the lead in actually exerting influence in the region right now?
Well, definitely. And that's why, as you pointed out, the United States, the White House in particular, has been in touch with some of the allies in the region, including South Korea and Japan. And there has been a very careful approach in reacting to the death of Kim Jong-il.
Whatever
because
his reputation in the West, Kim Jong-il appeared to be revered by his own people. Just watch this video of North Koreans in Pyongyang reacting to his death. Question is just how genuine is the outpouring of grief from North Koreans? To help answer that, I'm joined by Martin Avius from the Center for Defense Studies here in London. Martin, thank you very much for being with us. Good to see you. We see these videos of North Koreans reacting so strongly to the man as they know as their dear leader. But what do you know about how they really feel about their country? Most of them live in a dire situation. The economy there is in tatters. How do they really feel, though?
I visited North Korea a few years ago. When Kim Jong-il was still very much in power. And what I saw was the most extreme totalitarian state that I believe has ever existed in the modern world, even if you compare it.
How much we don't know. I think that's probably the more interesting part of all of this, is how much we don't know as opposed to what we do know. Martin, thank you very much for being with us. Appreciate that. You are watching World One live from London. When we come back, a nation in mourning, a region on edge. A tearful TV announcer in North Korea breaks the news. The country's longtime leader, Kim Jong-il, is dead. According to state media, he died of a heart attack while traveling on a train on Saturday. News is believed of his death has only added to the uncertainties already plaguing the world's stock markets. World Business Today's Charles Hodson is with us now for more on that market reaction. Charles.
Well, Monita, it was pretty interesting, actually, because if we look, for example, at the Paris CAC 40, we saw really a lot of selling at the start of this session, and then actually the market has recovered, and we're seeing that as a kind of general pattern right the way across the European markets. How the two economies stack up. Here is the North, which has produces $40 billion per capita, sorry, $40 billion overall per year. This is 2009 figures from the CIA World Handbook. Compare that with South Korea, and you're looking at just above $1 trillion, so clearly a multiple. If we come on, though, to GDP per capita, then it becomes even more painful, this north-south divide, if you like. North Korea, the average GDP per capita per head of population, below $2,000. Compare that with South Korea, where you're looking at getting on for $30,000. So clearly a huge divide there. But just let's remember that, as I think one of our guests said earlier on today, if you think of North Korea, it is the military. The economy is dominated by the military, and that is why people are so worried about it to some extent.
Why do people care at this point? Is it because of the military? Is it because of the fact that it's controlled by the military?
I think it's exactly what you were talking about earlier on. It is this uncertainty which markets hate, because very clearly we have a new leader. We don't know which way he's going to go. If you play any kind of game, any kind of tactical, strategic game with anyone, and your opponent is a little bit irrational, that's when you really start to worry. Particularly if they're irrational, inexperienced. This is what the markets don't like. Is this going to affect South Korea? This is an important global economy. If South Korea starts to get into a fight, or if there's uncertainty, if the nuclear program continues, that's very bad. This is an important building block in the world economy, Monita.
All right. Charles, thank you very much for that. Charles Hodson here in London. You are watching World One live from London. Coming up, as deadly violence continues to cast a shadow after a weekend of upheaval, anger and outrage is crystallizing around images of a veiled woman being stripped and beaten by Egypt's riot police. You may find these pictures disturbing to watch. As protesters flee down a street, 4 fall behind. 3 of them try to help a woman escape with them, but she falls to the ground with another man. Then more than 20 riot police move in, kicking and beating the 2 relentlessly. Meanwhile, fighting has broken out again in Tahrir Square. Moments ago, Egypt's military government said it had instructed its forces not to use violence against protesters. We want to get more now from CNN's Mohammed Fahmy. He joins us now over the phone from Cairo. Mohammed, first of all, do we know anything more about what happened to this woman and how she's doing at this point? Any more information on her?
Yes, I've been following her story closely, and last night I spoke to the man in the video that was trying to help her. He's a journalist in a local paper here, and
Rescuers pick through the rubble. Many will be looking to the skies, wondering whether there is more rain on the way. For a look at the forecast, let's bring in meteorologist Jill Brown at the International Weather Center. Jill, is there any reprieve in sight?
Well, there is, Monita. As you can see from the satellite picture, this is what's left of our tropical storm. It's now been downgraded to a tropical depression. And over the Philippines, well, we have a couple of clusters of storms. Monita, back to you.
Okay, Jill, thank you very much. You are watching World One live from London. North Korean leader Kim Jong-il is dead. Is his youngest son ready to become the great successor? We'll take a look at that when we return. Well, now the country is looking to its next leader, Kim Jong-il's youngest son, Kim Jong-un. He's already been called the great successor by North Korean state media. Kim Jong-un is believed to be 28 years old. He's the son of the elder Kim's late third wife. Despite a lack of political or military experience, he was promoted to 4-star general last year. There are few known photos of him. He's said to share the same type of personality as his father, described as ambitious and a take-no-prisoners type. Well, many fear that without a smooth transition of power, Kim Jong-il's death could spark an exodus of starving refugees, along with untold political and military instability. For more on what's ahead, CNN producer Tim Schwartz joins us now from CNN Hong Kong. Tim, tell us a little bit about what your impressions have been of North Korea in the past and what you believe could happen at a very unpredictable and uncertain time.
Well, North Korea is a unique country in the world today. It's very, very tightly centrally controlled, called by many a Stalinist regime.
Tim, thank you. Tim Schwartz there in Hong Kong. This is World One, live from London. Still ahead, flawless. The NFL season is nearing climax, and there were some very unexpected results over the weekend. Don Riddell joins us now with those details.
Thanks very much, Monita. Only one team has ever gone undefeated in an NFL season, and it's going to stay that way for at least another year.
This is World One, live from London. We are approaching almost 7 a.m. in New York. It's almost 1 p.m. in Berlin, and it's almost 9 p.m. in Pyongyang. Kim Jong-il's death has generated a lot of reaction on social media. We want to give you an idea of what some people are actually saying. Here, Carl Bildt, he's the foreign minister of Sweden, says the death of the dictator is always a period of uncertainty for a dictatorship. He goes on to say North Korea is the hardest dictatorship in our time. PJ Crowley, the former U.S. Assistant Secretary of State, also weighing in, saying if North Korea were a normal country, the death of Kim Jong-il might open the door to a Pyongyang spring, but it is not a normal country. And then the notable New York Times columnist Nick Kristof, who was at one stage banned for life from North Korea, says Kim Jong-il was one of the world's most peculiar and least known leaders. Now he's dead, and his successor is even less known. Well, just a short time ago, North Korea fired a short-range test missile. So was it trying to send out a message about life after Kim Jong-il? For more on that, we want to go to Martin Navius from the Center for Defense Studies here in London. Martin, what can you make of this? It has been, the South Korean news agency is confirming that this is what's happened. What do you make of it?
Well, North Korea has had a long-standing nuclear and missile program, and ever so often they fire a missile, or they've twice tested a nuclear weapon.
Okay, Martin, thank you very much. We appreciate that. You're watching World One live from London. I'm Monita Rajpal. Thank you for joining us. Do stay with us as we continue our coverage of the death of North Korean leader Kim Jong-il.